You know what really grinds my gears? Queue times. In every MMO player's mind, when a brand new MMO is about to release, the one thing I think everybody dreads is the queues. Because Ashes of Creation, Lost Ark, New World, every major, like even classic World of Warcraft when that came out in 2019, endless queues, 5-hour, 10-hour, 15-hour queues from some of these games. So I have to ask the question, especially as an Ashes of Creation content creator, what is an acceptable queue time? That to me is such a great question. And what can Ashes of Creation and Intrepid Studios do to help alleviate that queue time? I want to start off by actually kind of swinging off to another content creator from the Ashes community and get his opinion on this real quick.
Hey, so how long is a reasonable amount of time for a server queue? Well, I think that depends on when. On launch day, obviously longer than afterwards, but how long is too long? So, 8 hours? I think that's too long. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, a 1 hour queue, that's probably unrealistic. Launch day is a big deal though. You're gonna have streamers watching it and everyone's gonna wanna play the game on launch day. And if they're unable to, like they did in New World, then that's not great. So Intrepid is gonna need to be watching very closely and have their finger hovering over the button to add more servers in case server queues get too long. The problem comes though, if they add too many servers and the population of the game declines later, you're gonna have a ton of server merges, and server merges are catastrophic in Ashes. So for example, you lose your node progress, you'd lose your freehold, you'd lose castle ownership, all of this stuff. It's not great when you have to do server merges later. That's why Intrepid is okay with having server queues for the first little bit. One way to mitigate the queues on launch day would be to launch on like a weekday at like 3 a.m. Believe it or not everyone is obsessed with this game, and people are going to have normal jobs, they're going to have school that they have to go to, and then they'll play when they get home from those things. And so if you launch at a weird time, that limits the number of people who can play as soon as the servers go live. An unintended consequence of opening additional servers later is, let's say, you couldn't play because you were at a funeral, you had some other obligation. When you go back to play and there's a new server that just opened up, you're playing on a level playing field with everyone else, as opposed to if you started on a server that had been open for a little bit already, you would be behind the curve with those people. So unintended consequence of opening new servers, that could help out. Also, a shameless plug for Central Time Zone servers. Thanks for having me on, Vlhadus. Peace.
Thanks a lot, Burns. And I feel like one of the biggest things that Intrepid could do, at least on paper, is have more starting areas. Right now, they have 5 gateways that new players, when they enter into Vera for the first time, can select 5 particular points on the map to enter into. Now, if we go to like Classic WoW had 8 starting zones for brand new players because each race had its own starting zone. I think with 8 to 10 concurrent players for Ashes of Creation, and I mean 8 to 10,000, I feel like having only 5 areas is not a lot and will provide not that much alleviation of congestion, especially when you start packing in and everybody can actually select what starting zone they want to start from. I don't know, like I just have this feeling that you're gonna have like these crazy queue times. But if we can actually spread the population throughout both continents a little bit more evenly, and again, it may not happen because people can still select what starting zone they want to have, but at least having more options, I don't think would hurt. Having fewer options, I think would actually hurt more, especially, given the launch of the game, maybe not so much in the long run. Either way, I think that's probably a really good thing that Intrepid could do. The other thing that they can do is really just test how many people they could pack into a single area. And I think with their backend tests in Alpha 1, I think they were able to really pull off quite a bit of people in certain like central areas. So hoping that once we get in the Alpha 2, we're going to be breaking that server over and over and over again, because I hope that once we get into the Beta 1 and the Beta 2, that's all we should be doing is basically server breaks. Going in there and seeing what they can do to help alleviate those queue times. The other thing that I feel like Intrepid can do is, especially during Beta 1 and Beta 2, is allow us to register onto a server. So that way, people that want to play the game can already pick the server they want to go into. Now, this is something that I feel, people that purchase their Alpha 2 packages or Beta 1, Beta 2 packages can do, but I also feel like this should also be something that even a brand new player should be able to do. I think maybe not reserve a name, but maybe like reserve a spot on a server. So that way they can already start getting a kind of population on the servers before they've even started. That to me would be a really, really great thing. The other thing they can do as well is just like not release the game, but start the $15 a month subscription, and anybody who does that can go in, reserve their spot, reserve their name or whatever. And this is what I'm saying is like during the Beta 1 and Beta 2 cycles, because they're probably not going to be for very long. I would say that, for our, maybe 3 months, 6 months, I think, and that includes both Beta 1 and Beta 2. I think that's going to be pretty much the whole stint of that particular beta cycle. So I feel like if they want to at least do like, hey, you pay $15 a month, you can start going into the game, breaking the game, whatever have you. I think that would actually be pretty good. And especially to start testing to see like how many people are going to be on certain servers. And this also allows Intrepid to see how many servers they're potentially going to have on the actual day of launch, because server merges, they ain't going to be pretty. So I think that would be a really good way for Intrepid to kind of, test the waters a little bit and see exactly what they can do regarding these queue times, because you and I both as well know they're going to happen.